Hello and welcome once again to the Many Rules of Film Club, where we discuss our favorite topic, movies, the best of, the worst of, and everything in between. You can check out the Many Rules of Film Club on Facebook, on our website, themanyrulesofilmclub.com. You can check us out on iTunes and now on YouTube. We have our own channel, Many Rules of Film Club. We're going to be posting old podcast, our new podcast, so you can get to know everything about us. And I'd like to welcome once again my cinematic pals, occasional filmmaker Heather Lattis.
Hi, Jeff.
And multimedia artist Rusty Boulay-Stevenson.
It's me, Rusty from the block.
I won't get jealous of the rocks that you got. Oh, that song. Okay. Well, that's a good lead in, Rusty, because today we are discussing the career of the great Jennifer Lopez, a.k.a. J-Lo, although maybe don't call her J-Lo. We'll discuss that. And we're looking at Jennifer Lopez at this moment because I think she is having a cultural moment with the recent release of the movie Hustlers, which I'm very confident is going to get her an Oscar nomination.
Really? Can we take bets? We'll take
Check
bets on
back
that.
with me in February.
I think definite Golden Globes, but we'll see.
You don't think she's going to get nominated for an Oscar, Heather?
Oh, maybe. I mean, I did hear a little bit of buzz about it, and then all of a sudden I'm getting buzz. I've read buzz about Constance Wu.
Constance Wu is technically the star of Hustlers, and Jennifer Lopez is a supporting character. I think supporting actress.
Okay, gotcha.
Do you want to put money on this? Seriously?
Oh, yes. Okay, so what do you want to bet? Like $10?
I think $10. Let's keep it civil.
Reasonable. $10.
Wow.
I say no Oscar nom. You say yes Oscar nom.
Okay. I even say she's going to win the Oscar, but
Whoa, let's just say nomination,
Okay.
buddy.
you say okay. So
Wow.
$10. I say she's nominated for an Oscar. You say she's not nominated for an
I say
Oscar.
No.
And we both agree Golden Globe easy.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rusty, are you in?
I think she's going to get nominated. I'm just going to watch from the sidelines.
Okay.
I think she's getting nominated. She may not win, but I think she's getting nominated.
Okay. All right.
And it would be like best supporting, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, best
Yeah.
supporting for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll see.
Ooh, I can't wait to spend that $10.
I know, right? This is going to be great.
I'm going to Starbucks. So Jennifer Lopez, clearly one of our biggest celebrities. I mean, she is an actress, but she's what I call a multi-hyphenate celebrity. Singer, dancer, actress, entrepreneur,
Entertainer.
right? Entertainer, fashion designer,
Fragrance owner.
fragrance
Creator.
owner, creator, Glow by J-Lo. Smell like Jennifer.
Totally forgot about that.
Glow. Glow is supposedly one of the biggest selling fragrances ever.
Interesting.
I don't remember smelling it, but I'm sure it smelled wonderful. But
And she and A-Rod together, are they the richest family on the planet?
They must be.
they would have to be at this point.
And they're engaged. They're not married yet, but I think they're engaged.
Yeah. I believe in 2012, Forbes magazine ranked Jennifer Lopez as the most powerful celebrity in the world.
And I don't think that people give her due. Like, I honestly didn't realize that until you told me. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know she's powerful and she's got chops, but I never thought of her as like a power in the industry, and I should have.
Yeah, I feel like Jennifer Lopez was one of the first sort of all-around entrepreneur celebrities. Like, she realized it wasn't just about performing; you also had to be a producer and a creator of products and a lifestyle brand influencer. So I think she was sort of the originator of a lot of that, and I think she's been very successful. Certainly, she's also often referred to as the most successful Latin artist in America.
That's hard to really argue.
Yeah.
I mean, she just is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she's totally changed what the ceiling is for a Latin actor or singer.
Yeah. And women and just in general.
Latina.
So today we're going to focus on her film work, since that's what we're all about. But I think you can't really talk about Jennifer Lopez without talking about all the other streams that run into the river that is Jennifer Lopez. That was a weird metaphor, but Oh.
Well,
She's a river.
Even last year, 2018, Time listed her, Time magazine, as one of the 100 most influential people in the world.
Yeah.
Like, that's really profound, and I don't think people do think of her like that quite. Even though she is, I mean, she generates headlines with almost anything she does. If she wears a different dress, right?
Right.
Oh, for sure. I mean, she's 50 now, and she's got quite a career behind her now. So we'll see what she brings in her next life.
Yes, and I think some people haven't taken her in recent years seriously as seriously as an actress as maybe is warranted, thanks to being a host on American Idol and just doing a Vegas residency. She does a lot of things that we don't expect A-list actresses to do, I think, which is why I'm kind of interested to watch her now with Hustlers and getting this, I'm going to say, Oscar buzz. Just to see like where that will lead her. Will she start going in a more serious film direction? Will she continue with the music?
Yeah, we'll see.
Who knows?
I mean, she's had such a great career, but she doesn't always get the best scripts, but she's had her moments. And so I think we'll see what happens. And I think she goes all the way back. My favorite, the first time I saw her was in Mi Familia, which is a great ensemble cast movie. It's a great movie. And then, of course, Money Train, which was heavily in the 90s, like Wesley Snipes and that kind of genre action movie, kind of heist movie. And I loved her. I mean, she was great. And then she hits in Selena. So
her breakthrough role, I think we can all agree. Yes.
And I think Selena was, so I was a fan before she passed away. And when she was murdered, it was such a horrible thing, because I think that was like the first time for me in my generation to experience that kind of loss and of like a musician kind of thing. And she was just going to do her crossover album from Spanish music, Spanish lyrics and Latina Mexicana music to mainstream music. And I remember seeing this interview Selena did on Entertainment Tonight. She was so excited. And then when she was murdered, and then here we are, Jennifer Lopez playing her in this movie, and I was so nervous because, who can, but music biopics can go either way. It really depends on who you pick for that person. And Jennifer Lopez is like perfect for that role. Perfect. She has that fun quality that Selena had, and that charm, that young charm where she was just getting started and stars in her eyes and wanted to be a singer and also wanted to cross over and get a bigger audience, and she truly loved her fans. And I think that all came together in the movie Selena.
And I think also Jennifer Lopez herself was sort of living that life that was early in her career, and she wanted that career as well.
Yeah,
much as Selena did. And they were, she was capturing that moment when Selena was breaking through, as was J-Lo.
And people she was a dancer on In Living Color, and that's where she kind of got her first,
Fly
start,
girl.
And she was a fly girl. I forgot that's what they were called. I mean, but who didn't watch whenever you go to the commercial, they come back from the commercial, you watch the Fly Girls. Come on. Yeah. I mean, so I used to, when I found that out, I used to go back and watch and look for her in that, in those parts. But so, she gets her start, and she, how brave is that to just go out there and try? And, Gregory Nava directed Selena, and he also directed Mi Familia, My Family, whatever you want to call it. And so I'm guessing that he saw her as a talent. I'm not sure how the audition went, but she obviously got it. But I'm guessing he saw that she had that spark in her, that she could portray, this such a big person and personality in the Latina community, in the Mexican community. That's a huge role to take, and I'm curious to know if Jennifer Lopez recognized that.
That would have been terrifying, I would think, because that was very soon after Selena was murdered that movie came out, and people's emotions were very raw at that time.
Yeah, and I think that so Jennifer Lopez is Puerto Rican, and nowadays we definitely would want them to cast a Mexican American woman, but back then she was one of the pop, I guess if you're going to look for that, she was on the list. And so I think she fit it like nobody else. I think we talked about this before off mic, but some people, I'm sure, when they envision Selena, they envision Jennifer Lopez,
Yep.
Selena, And I purposely will watch old actual Selena videos to make sure that Jennifer Lopez is not in my brain. But I think that goes to show that she always had the entertainer in her, that musician and performer kind of in her, because she'd play Selena so well. And, if you watch the movie, it's a great ensemble cast, Edward James Olmos, Jacob Vargas. It's a great cast. And here's Jennifer Lopez, and she's so seamless in it that I think people have associated her with Selena, and that probably will be forever,
And it was tough because she was lip syncing to Selena's vocal tracks, and you totally buy it because she does such a good job integrating the dancing with the lip syncing and the acting.
Right, and she wouldn't have done it if they had gotten an actress who wasn't a dancer. They wouldn't have done that role as well.
That's so true.
The cumbia and the washing machine scene is like forever. I learned to do the cumbia before Selena, but that's such a great way to teach someone. But yeah, it's so many young women, and now I guess my age, have that movie in their heart because of Selena, but also because Jennifer Lopez did such a great job playing her, and she was vulnerable and was able to be young and fun, and show the love story with her and her husband and all of that. It's such a good story to show. And like I said, you see her go into her J-Lo persona, being a singer and all that in the 90s and late 90s, early 2000s. And you see why that happened, because she has a stage presence. She can bring it. She can dance. Her singing is not always on point, but that's what she brought to Selena and why it did so well.
Yes, and the movie's smart by ending with footage of the real Selena,
Right.
I think,
Yeah,
because
they fade into her
Yes.
going from the Jennifer Lopez version to the real Selena, and you're like, holy crap,
it's a different person.
it's a different person, but
Yeah.
also you see it. Like
You see it.
see why they picked Jennifer Lopez.
Yes. I will say that when we showed Selena at the Loft Cinema, it's interesting watching the multi-generations of people, like predominantly women, but not exclusively women, who come to see this film and they're crying and they're laughing, and it's little girls, like 7, 8-year-old girls dressed up like Selena coming to see this. So she's a huge influence now to this
Yeah.
day, even though she's been gone for 20 some years.
Yeah. I mean, it's the dream of lots of young women and men and boys and whoever, that they can take their talent and they can become something. And I think that Selena proved that. Granted, she had the pressure and support, both pressure and support from her family and her dad and all of that. But lots of young people dream of that. And I think even though it's a tragedy what happened to her, and I still get mad at it because who knows what she could have done had she been allowed to live longer, it's still a story that is a good story. Her beginnings is a great story, and how she accomplished what she did.
Yeah.
So.
And that goes for J-Lo too. I think that's what's so neat about it, is how these two strong Latina women who were crossing over at the time and breaking boundaries that ordinarily, if you saw a female Latin person in a film, they were a housekeeper or something. And that's here you see Selena breaking those boundaries, and then in playing Selena, Jennifer Lopez does it as well. And it's a fun little movie. It's interesting because the first time I saw it, my wife was taking a film class online at the U of A, and it was like Hispanics in film, and one person who kept coming up over and over again is Lupe Ontiveros, who plays the killer, who plays Selena's killer. But Lupe Ontiveros is in so many films. She was like the one female Latina who would be hired to play all these different characters. She's in Zoot Suit. She's in Cheech and Chong. She's in Born in East L.A. In El Norte, she's a maid. Like,
she's
just
an excellent actress.
She's an actress. She was an
Was,
excellent,
yeah.
an excellent actress. And And I just thought it was really interesting in seeing her and Selena there because she's totally breaking type as well with that character. It's not a character she typically is, a killer, Lupe Ontiveros. She's more of a mom or a grandma or, your maid.
Well, you see how insidious she was, like how she charmed her way into their lives and ended up, obviously she's not mentally stable.
Mentally ill,
not that it excuses what she did, but, they show you she charmed her way into their lives and then ended up murdering her, So she's played that role brilliantly.
Oh, she's really great at it. She's a great actress, like you said. It was interesting to me at the time, and when you look now at how far Jennifer Lopez has come to be one of the most influential people on the planet.
Yeah.
That wasn't possible in the 1970s or the 1980s.
No.
Yeah.
Right?
And just mentioning that actress, Lupe, I feel talking to people after we have screened Selena, and people get so wrapped up in the movie that they feel like it's almost a documentary. And I've had numerous people say they hate the actress who plays the woman who killed Selena. But they don't even refer to her as an actress. They say, I hate that woman.
Right.
And they're not even, and it's just interesting that I've talked to people who don't draw a distinction between the actress playing her and the actual real person.
Oh, right.
So I feel kind of bad for the legacy if they think that she killed Selena.
Right. It's a very real, different woman that killed Selena.
Yes, exactly.
It was, and it was, it's hard. I mean, it just shows that how much effect she had and how, like I was saying, it broke all of our hearts when that happened. And it's hard to, I remember the day when someone told me and he acted like it was nothing and I started crying and it was horrible. And you just you realize what was stolen from the world. And that's why people see Lupe Ontiveros as that character and hate her,
Well, and that movie is almost a documentary, right? That people do get so wrapped up into it. They're so close to it because of what Selena meant to people. And I think because of what Jennifer Lopez means to people, too.
Right. For sure.
Right? And you just get caught up in it. It's an easy movie to get caught up in. I enjoyed it tremendously in watching it. It's not great. It's not like high art, but it's a really well told story.
No, I would definitely not put it in high art, but I think it's a great movie.
It is,
and I've watched it many times, and I can quote parts of it. It is near and dear to my heart,
and it's surprisingly fun considering how grimly it ends.
Right. Right. Yeah, they have such balance.
It's a tragedy, but the musical sequences are so sort of exhilarating and just exciting and over the top and great, and you can really understand why people loved Selena so much.
Well, and you see she really did have stardom and how that really did happen. Like it went from playing very small venues to all of a sudden buzz when her songs were coming up, and how it just was so fast for her. She doesn't have she has a decent song list, but it's not as huge as it could have been, but it's in such a short period of time. I don't think people really realize that, and that movie does a really good job of showing that as well,
and capturing, like you were saying, the fun of being a young person and coming into your own in that way and getting so much acclaim and attention for it. It really depicts that really well, and that's part of why you get carried away with it, right? Is because of that, because of the youthful vibe of it.
For sure.
And I've heard Jennifer Lopez say doing that movie inspired her to record music in Spanish.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
To embrace that part of her, which maybe she hadn't been embracing as she was trying to make it in Hollywood.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so I think it was probably important for her development as sort of as a, I guess you'd say, like a cultural Latina, like sort of embracing that culturally and publicly.
Agreed.
And she's great in it. And around that same time, the next year, she did another great film that I think we all are very fond of.
Another favorite.
Steven Soderbergh film.
Sure. Well, I think, let's real quickly, because I think 1997 is so pivotal for her. In 97, she made Selena. She was also in Anaconda.
Oh, yes, we have to talk about that.
We can't miss Anaconda.
This was Jennifer Lopez as an action hero fighting a giant snake and Jon Voight.
Yeah, and Jon Voight.
Like a wet. Honestly, let's be real.
Yeah, she got dunked
People
a
like
lot
that she got wet
in that
a lot.
movie. But that's a fun movie.
It is fun.
Yes.
It holds up really well. It's a very fun movie. My son and I watched it. It's still a little bit makes you jump. It gets under your
Mm-hmm.
skin.
It's a good jump scare.
Yeah, it is a good jump scare. I'm somebody who, I mean, it can be hard for me to get carried away with a film. The fact that the snake just eats and eats and eats really still bothers me because the snake can't do that. It can eat once and then it doesn't eat again for a while. This one is a snake that's just voracious.
Maybe it's a bulimic snake.
Eats everything. Well, evidently it is bulimic because it's got this weird.
Well, thank goodness it's not a documentary.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely not. But boy, it's fun, and she's really good in it. It's not her movie though; it's Ice Cube's movie.
Ice Cube's movie, yes.
He's really great in it, and he's a lot of fun, and it's a good cast. Jon Voight. I read where a lot of people don't like that role for him. I thought he was really good and slimy and smarmy.
He gets swallowed by a snake and then vomited up
Yeah.
by that giant snake.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great role for Jon Voight.
Yeah.
It's true. He is slimy, but anyways.
But that was kind of yeah, literally and figuratively. But that was a moment when Jennifer Lopez, I mean, I think to make a movie like that, you are sort of becoming part of the mainstream.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then she's also in that same year, 1997, U-Turn comes out. It's an Oliver Stone film. It's a slight Oliver Stone film. She's the femme fatale.
Film noir.
It's film noirish, yeah, for sure. And just, he's lost we can identify he's lost in an Arizona town, or he gets stuck in this backwater Arizona town.
We can relate.
Yeah, we can relate a little bit, like Globe, Arizona or something. And so Sean Penn is in it. I really like Sean Penn. It's one of my least favorite roles of his. Like, he doesn't bring a whole lot to it. The movie's sloppy and everything, but still, I think that triumvirate of doing Selena, Anaconda, and U-Turn. She also did a movie called Blood and Wine with Jack Nicholson that year that is not very watchable and not fun.
But hey, she was in a movie with Jack Nicholson. Damn.
Yeah, well, and that says a lot. She's in an Oliver Stone movie. She's in a really good, fun action-adventure, Anaconda. She's Selena, which is huge, and she's in a Jack Nicholson movie. So just in that alone, you really see her coming out in 1997 as this becoming a star.
Yes.
Right? And Selena really pushes her into that stardom. And then, yes, in 1998, she's in the amazing Steven Soderbergh film.
My favorite Steven Soderbergh.
Out of
Oh
Sight.
my gosh, Out of Sight.
Yes.
Out of Sight. I had watched it and I knew it was good. I watched it years ago, a couple decades. And then I watched it again this last week. And my goodness, that movie is so prevalent and so good still. It's so fresh, right? It's easy to watch. It's a really great film, kind of a companion piece to Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown.
Yep.
In that they're both based on Elmore Leonard's stories. They both have Michael Keaton in them as the FBI agent, Ray Nicolette.
Yeah.
Ray Nicolette. But interesting, he's uncredited in Out of Sight because
Yeah.
of legal issues. Because Jackie Brown was a Miramax title, and and Out of Sight was not.
And they were claiming
licensing the name of the character, but Tarantino said he's got to be in both
Nasty
because it's part of the universe.
Yeah.
Hollywood.
I hate that when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they belong together, those two
Yeah, they
movies.
do.
They really do. It's a great double feature.
Companions, for
That
sure.
would be a great double. Sure, I've never done that. Maybe I should do that.
Yes.
Anybody should.
Yes.
I really
I
recommend
mean, they're
it.
separately excellent.
As I started watching Out of Sight, even before Michael Keaton came on, I'm like, gosh, this reminds me of Jackie Brown, and I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know it was an Elmore Leonard story yet. I hadn't looked that up. I'm like, gosh, it just has this vibe. The soundtracks are a little bit similar, really funky and
depth.
cool, real depth. They also they mess with time a little bit. There's a little bit of back and forth in time in both of the films. And then when Michael Keaton shows up, I'm like, oh my gosh, it is Jackie Brown. This is totally.
And they both
I
have
love it.
such great casts. I
Oh
mean,
my God,
so Out of Sight,
great
you get Ving
ensemble
Rhames,
cast movie is
Albert
great.
Brooks, Don Cheadle. Like, it's just amazing casting.
And she's great. And I mean, Jennifer Lopez is great in Out of Sight.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, she and George Clooney. I'll say it now. I watched a lot of Jennifer Lopez movies for this episode. There are a lot of bad Jennifer Lopez movies, in my opinion.
True.
I had a hard time watching a lot of her
Yes.
films.
Let's be honest.
She's a really good actor. She's really good. She never brings anything down.
Right.
It's the material around her. But in this one, she's got all the things going right. She's got this amazing co-star who George Clooney, he's obviously younger. It's 1998, so he's still got some brown in his hair and
Coming off of ER.
yeah, and boy, the two of them, their chemistry is just, it jumps off the screen at you.
It's a charisma meltdown.
Oh
I mean,
my
I've
gosh.
never wanted to be in a trunk of a car more than the
tru-
trunk with car scene.
The trunk scene in Out of Sight, I think, is one of the sexiest things. There's
You
two
get, like,
there's
the
two
red
very
light
sexy
from the
moments in
brake
that film.
lights, the red light from the brake lights.
Brake lights.
And,
Yeah.
like, her dress, and he's behind her, and they're talking. You see a lot of whispering in her ear, because he's right behind her in the trunk.
And
it's
his voice is so,
Yeah.
I mean, his voice would melt anything, right? Like, his voice is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's a meet cute that I've never seen something like that, where they're pressed up against each other and their hands are in each other because they can't move in this trunk.
Right.
But they're
Yeah.
chatting about movies.
Who doesn't get a crush after that situation?
Right?
I mean, like, you
Yeah.
don't blame both of them for, like, desiring each other after that.
So intimate.
Yeah.
So intimate and scary, too. There's a lot of science behind the fact that, if your
Right.
adrenaline starts running on a date, like, you're...
That's a speed quote right there.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
So there's that happening to them too. But just as a viewer, gosh, don't you just feel that? I almost feel like you're in that trunk with them.
They have
right?
great, yeah.
Like
great.
it's just so good.
Yeah.
And it would be one of the sexiest film moments if it weren't for
The other moment.
the other moment in the
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
Where, oh my gosh, so she's an FBI agent. He's breaking out of prison, and that's how they meet. He kidnaps her. And you find out she's been with another bank robber before, and that's what he is. He's a bank robber. And so that lifestyle somehow seems to appeal to the character, to Jennifer Lopez's character.
Karen Sisko.
Thank you,
Cisco.
Karen
Yes.
Sisko.
Jackie
Well, and the
Brown and Karen
idea-
Sisko.
Yeah, the idea of
Yeah.
that he goes against everything that she stands for as an FBI agent is that thrill.
Yeah,
thing.
and that's already in her DNA somehow too, and in her character as to who she is. That she had been with a bank robber before in the past, and now she's dating the character played by Michael Keaton in the movie at the beginning. That though you barely see them together. After the kidnapping, they have to go their separate ways. Obviously, she escapes, and it's pretty fun. There's some real fun moments. She's a real badass in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, she really is tough as nails, doesn't take any guff. There's a scene where a guy starts kind of sexually harassing her, and she is having none of it.
And she has a baton.
And she doesn't want
And
to
it's-
tussle, but she will if she,
She will
has
tussle.
to.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, it's so cool. But then there's the moment where finally they see each other from afar in an elevator at one point, but then finally he tracks her down as she's trying to track him down. And she's doing it ostensibly as an FBI agent, but there's more to it than that because she doesn't turn him in when she sees him in passing, and she's clearly very interested. And he comes up as she's sitting at a table in a bar, and she's already been hit on twice and chased guys off in her super badass character way. And he comes up and sits down with her, and it's snowing, and they're obviously in this really high-rise, cool hotel in the bar. And that alone is really sexy. But then he starts cross-cutting between a scene that's a flash forward. And so it's like these jump cuts kind of in between as a cross-cut between scenes. And now, and in the scene in the future, they're in the bedroom, in the hotel room, and they're undressing. And there's nothing overtly, they're undressing, but they're standing in their underwears, and it's kind of cute almost. But it is as sexy a scene as just all of the energy. It's got everything going for it. It's got, I'm sure Elmore Leonard wrote a really great scene that Steven Soderbergh picks up on, and then the editing
And made it brilliant.
and made it.
Brought it to it.
I mean, in the voiceover, well, it's not the voiceover, but what he's saying to her in the bar is pretend this is not, you're someone else and I'm someone else. And honestly, that is what kicks off that series and makes it so good. So it's everything put together for that.
It really is.
If this scene is, I guarantee you, online somewhere. So if you don't watch the movie, which you should at least watch that scene.
And interesting that it refers to, I don't know if you've ever seen Don't Look Now, the Nicholas Roeg film.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it references the sex scene in that film because Nicholas Roeg did a lot of jump forwards. And Soderbergh clearly is a fan of movie history.
Oh,
and I've heard him talk a lot about Nicholas Roeg and how much he was influenced. So if you want to see this sort of the precedent of that, it would be Don't Look Now. But you don't see that very often where people can spin something sexy out of editing,
yeah.
which is weird to think that editing can be sexy.
And the
But it can.
snow is
But it
so
can.
sexy. And
Oh, the end. I always
the
feel
drink.
like Out of Sight is
Yeah.
a little bit of a winter movie, of a Christmassy holiday movie because of
Yeah.
the end. I love it, like because they're in the snow in the end, and
In Detroit, so it's
And-
very cold.
I mean, Ving Rhames is brilliant as his sidekick, and everything is great. The Steve Zahn character is great when they have their little thing at when Jennifer Lopez and him have a scene. That's great acting and great writing, and it's a great.
And the finale is so great in Albert Brooks's mansion in Detroit,
Yeah.
and he has these uncut diamonds hidden in the house. I won't say where they're hidden because it's very funny and very clever. But the whole climax with George Clooney proving that he's a criminal, but he's a good guy because he gets the diamonds and leaves, but then goes back to save a woman who is in danger of possibly being sexually assaulted by all these criminals in the house.
Yeah.
And then Jennifer Lopez is there and is like, will they or won't they? Will she take him in? Will she shoot George Clooney? It's a great way to wrap the film up. And the ending, I don't want to spoil the ending for people, but it's a great open-ended ending to this film.
You don't know exactly what's going to happen.
No, but clearly there's still like a real attraction between these two characters.
Without a doubt.
And it's so that, like, it could easily become like a. So the one thing that Jennifer Lopez does well, okay, multiple things, but she's great in romantic comedies. You know, they might not be great movies, but she does great in them.
Yes.
And this could have just taken over. Like Steven Soderbergh could have given in to Hollywood and said, like, let's just make this a rom-com. But it's not. It's a Steven Soderbergh movie, and it's a Elmore Leonard novel, and so it's part of the story. So you get to know a little bit of Karen Sisco's character. You get to know why. Oh man, I'm forgetting his name. George Clooney's character.
Jack Foley.
Jack Foley. Okay. And so it's such a great story, and I think just like any actor, but her in particular, she does so well when she's given a great script and good direction. And I hope that, she does that more.
And that's why it's such a great companion with Jackie Brown, because you have these two movies about these two strong
Heck yeah.
women
Yeah.
who both,
Minority women.
yes, an African-American woman and a Latina who have good directors sort of giving them the leeway to create these great characters who are complex and nuanced and sexy. And it's great. That is the best double feature I can think of at the moment.
Yeah.
I got to do that.
Yes.
Watching Out of Sight again after a couple decades, it was a revelation to me. It really was. I had such a good time watching that movie. It's one I know. I picked it up at a used store for this episode, but I'm so glad that I did because I know it's something that I'm going to go back and watch multiple times now. If you haven't seen it, you owe it to yourself to find Out of Sight and make a point of seeing it. And yeah, watch it with Jackie Brown. They are two great films together.
And why I like Steven Soderbergh is that I remember at the time he said, this was my bid to make a commercial movie to get out of what he called the art house ghetto, which, because he was seen as an art director at that point. And this film is very commercial and very accessible, but it's also very artistic.
Oh, very. Visually, acting-wise.
Editing. They had a budget of $48 million, and at the box office it did 77.
So it did fine.
But Hollywood is crazy, and so, that might be a flop because it didn't make $100 million.
Right.
It didn't make 2 or 3 times the amount, which is
Yeah.
what she typically does.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge hit. It was a modest hit.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
we haven't mentioned she's a box office draw.
Yeah.
Yes. Jennifer Lopez makes money at the box office. I believe she holds the record for having the only time that an actor has had a #1 album and a #1 movie out at the same moment,
Very nice.
which was The Wedding Planner and
Whatever album.
whatever
Oh,
album
I know
that was.
exactly what the album is. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah.
Was it the one with the Jenny from the Block on it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so her music career is like a whole other thing, but she was certainly moving back and forth between music and film after this era, after the late 90s.
In 2000, she's in The Cell, which we should mention.
Visually stunning. but not the greatest acting or story.
No, I think any actress could have taken on that role because it's not a very complex role.
No, it's more about
it's
the
all
visuals
about the visuals
and about the creepy Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yes, yeah. And then Wedding Planner, I think, was 2001. That was probably her big giant
Rom-com
film
thing.
Yep, it's the one that changes her life.
with Matthew McConaughey.
That one and The Maid, right? The
Made in Manhattan.
Made in
In
Manhattan.
Manhattan,
Yeah.
that would come out a little bit later.
Oh
Yeah.
God, don't get me started. Made in Manhattan.
That's
But-
2002. Wedding Planner's 2001. Wedding Planner cost about $30 million to make and made $95 million. So this is
Scheisse, that's like 3 times. Holy
this
Yeah,
is
crap.
where
it's
she
huge.
starts making 3 times every budget
Right.
of her in her movies. It becomes kind of amazing. She's in a lot of romantic comedies and stuff, and
I mean, she's great at the light comedy. When in the romantic comedies, I mean, I think that's probably why people. I mean, she's gorgeous, but that she has her own chemistry that she generates. I think they're really. I mean, sure, Matthew McConaughey is hot, but there's not super duper chemistry with them. But she kind of makes up for it.
she does. She does.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I tend to give him a pass in things, and I don't know why. But I'm pretty easygoing on Matthew McConaughey.
He's so darn charming.
He's charming. He's easy to watch.
Yeah,
Right. And
likable.
so it seems likable enough.
Yeah.
I didn't buy him as a doctor though. Not
No,
not,
heck
not
no.
not even
No.
never in this
A
lifetime.
pediatrician at that.
Yeah.
No way is that guy is that character a real pediatrician. There's just no.
No,
But it's
But-
but it's interesting that she was playing an Italian character.
right. I was like, what?
wedding-
They're in the park or they're watching that movie and
Yes.
they basically say that she's an Italian girl and I'm like, oh Lord. Like she can't
this-
even be Latina in
No.
this movie.
But this is an interesting, I think, moment to talk about sort of the representation of ethnicity in these films. She was never really paired in these movies with another Latino actor. It was usually a Caucasian male.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes she was cast as Italian, even though she's Puerto Rican. I think I think it's complicated. I think she really navigated that process very successfully. But I think it's really tricky for someone who's a non-white actress
Oh, for sure.
to become a huge rom-com star.
I think she only got to play against a Latino was when she played in El Cantante with her husband
Mark
at the time.
Anthony, yes.
So, and
Yeah.
that I'm sure they got that made together.
Yes.
Not, I don't think everyone was like, "Hey, let's do this." I think they made that project happen.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, she's been forced to, whether she likes it or not, play against white guys this whole time. You know.
And yeah. And then the disaster that was Ben Affleck, who came into her life, they became Bennifer, and I think that's when her celebrity sort of eclipsed her
yeah.
acting.
I mean, that was the first like annoying name combo couple that we had.
Yes.
Which I regret. Like, people should regret that for the rest of their lives. Whoever invented that is horrible and should never be allowed to write anything anymore. But I'm pretty sure it was a journalist or a celeb mag or something that made them up. But
But they made a lot of mistakes.
just-
Like she put him in her music videos.
Yes.
There was that one where
oh
they were
God,
on,
I forgot about
where
that.
they were on the yacht
Yeah.
and she was in the bikini
There was a
and
beach
the
thing,
beach
too.
thing and
People need to like just keep things separate. Like, we don't need to see your current love person. No. We don't need to do that. And but I get it. You get sucked into that, and you're like, well, they're gonna take pictures of us and invade our privacy anyway. So let's try and go with it.
Yes.
But I think that's not the way.
which led to Gigli, which is the movie that is really credited with sort of derailing her acting career for quite a while.
Which is a shame.
I don't think Gigli's as bad as people make it out to be, but it's not good. It's not a good film at all.
I mean, the clip I saw of it was not good, but I feel like people more often not women get kind of sucked into that. Oh, she had one bad movie, and so
Yes.
then her career gets derailed, and it's like, what? She didn't do anything at the time. She just dated Ben Affleck,
Right.
and it went badly. You know.
Right. Yes, she was scrutinized for things that men are probably not
Right.
scrutinized for, like who they're dating.
Right.
Sure.
So double standard, typical
Yeah.
Hollywood double standard, But it was a bad movie.
Yeah, I did not. I was gonna try to watch it, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, I couldn't do it either. I mean, this is one. It cost $75 million to make, and you guess how much did it make? How much it made
much
at the
did it
box
make?
office? $7 million.
Ouch.
Ooh, ouch. Okay, that is a bomb, but that's
That's
like a
a-
business thing. It should have ruined her career.
Correct. Yes.
But I guess everyone has a low Some created, some not. I don't know.
Yeah, and I would guess that was the moment she realized she had to be a little more careful about making her private life so public.
Yeah.
But she
Because-
still did, though, because she dated Puffy, and then
She
she
still
dated
did.
the backup dancer and married him, and Mark Anthony, and oh, Lord.
And now A-Rod.
And now A-Rod. Yes.
So I think she does better now,
I think she's better about,
but
yes.
she doesn't like marry. I'm using marry as not that. Like, marry her careers with her men like she used to, which is good, I think. You should keep them separate, in my opinion, but hey. What do I know? I'm not a bajillionaire, so.
But then she went and did a lot of other things. Like we mentioned, she became a judge on American Idol, and she did
Does the perfume stuff.
perfume stuff, a Vegas residency. She toured still did albums.
She did that. I think it went for 2 or 3 seasons. The Shades of Blue TV
Yes,
series, which
yep.
got really good critical acclaim. Ray Liotta. It's a good show. I like it. I haven't watched the last season, but they were great cop shows.
Yeah, and I think maybe that kind of leads us up to the current moment, the movie Hustlers, which I think is a J-Lo renaissance. Oh wait, we should say, can we call her J-Lo? I know that maybe we shouldn't.
Well, okay, so we were talking about her persona. Is she Jennifer Lopez versus J-Lo?
I think J-Lo is a character personally.
Right, and then I won't say who, but a friend of mine was a brief summer intern with her, and she did not like being called J-Lo. So I don't know if I think at some point she probably had embraced that character. I think she was fine with Jenny from the Block. She was not fine with J-Lo.
No. But her album was titled J-Lo,
Right,
and one
so
of her
maybe
perfumes was called J-Lo. So she
Yeah.
knew that it was a marketing
Right, so maybe
tool.
it's just part of her
Yeah.
thing. And I mean, I've tried my best to call her Jennifer Lopez now, but it's just so easy to call her J-Lo.
Yeah, I tried Jennifer Lopez. I haven't seen, like, have you heard what, like, her friends or people who work with her, what they call her? You know, like Martin Scorsese, they'll call him Marty.
Oh yeah, that's
Have
true.
you heard?
I heard people who work with her calling her Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Not
that's
J-Lo.
what I'm thinking.
I think
that-
her fans call her J-Lo.
Yeah, but I don't think when you work with her, you call her
Yes.
J-Lo.
And I think certainly when she is an Oscar winner, we're going to refer to her as Jennifer Lopez.
Nobody better call her J-Lo.
So Hustlers, which I just love, it's definitely one of my favorite movies this year, which Jennifer Lopez produced. She was one of the producers on the film. So she developed the project, and I think that's the place she's in now where she can do anything she wants, basically.
She got clout now.
She's got clout, she's got money, she can develop projects that will give her maybe juicier, better, more complex roles, which she's doing. Weirdly, this film was co-produced by Adam McKay and Will Ferrell.
What?
Yeah, and
Interesting.
Yeah.
Those are good friends to have.
but it was directed by Lorraine Scafaria, and she wrote the screenplay. And then, so I think it's very important that it was directed and written by a woman.
Yep.
And after the script was written, the production company offered it to Adam McKay, saying, you should do it. It was offered to Martin Scorsese, and he passed on it. And
This is not a guy film,
no,
even though I haven't seen it. But
so Lorraine Scarfia was, she waited until the film came back to her.
nice.
And I think that was the right move. So basically what Hustlers is about these women in a strip club in the mid 2000s, about 2007, who find a way to make a lot of money. And when the Great Recession hits, the bottom falls out. It's a strip club in New York near the financial district. And when their client base stops coming in because a lot of these, traders have lost their money, they have to come up out of desperation with this kind of wild plan to start bilking these Wall Street men out of money by drugging them, taking them to the strip clubs, drugging them, and then running up huge charges on their credit cards while these men are passed out in the private lap dance rooms.
Brilliant.
Yes. And then getting them not quite passed out enough that they can still sign for the check. And then they give a portion of the money to the club, and then the women take the rest of the money. Mm-hmm. And when the men realize the next day what has happened, the women say, well, you had a great time, don't you remember? And do you want us to tell your wife? And
Oopsies.
And it's great. And it was based on a true story, this article called The Hustlers at Scores, the ex-strippers who stole from mostly rich men and gave it to, well, themselves. And it was this New York Magazine article. And Julia Stiles is in the film, and she plays a reporter who's actually interviewing the women about what happened. And J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez, sorry. I'm calling her J-Lo.
See, I tell you.
She plays Ramona Vega, who is sort of like the mother figure at this strip club, and Constance Wu is a new performer who starts at the club, and J-Lo takes her under her wing and sort of teaches her the ropes. But then Ramona becomes the ringleader of this crime wave that they embark upon. But it's really sort of a great female bonding film, and it's about strippers, but it's not exploitive because it's directed and written by a woman, so it doesn't feel like the male gaze is sort of exploiting them. And Jennifer Lopez just like physically, she's 50 and she's working this pole, and it's kind of an amazing. But she's always been a dancer,
Right.
and so
But there's some 20-year-olds that would love to look like Jennifer Lopez.
it's.
Let's just be real.
Yes. So I've seen this movie a couple of times in the theater, and both times like people were just gasping watching Jennifer Lopez on this pole because it's really amazing. Like she's going up to the top of the pole and sliding down, upside down, doing this move called the bench where she's like flat on the pole
That's so
using
crazy.
her arms to support herself,
Perpendicular or whatever,
perpendicular to the ground. And she's teaching the other women how to do this. So it's clearly a good physical match for Jennifer Lopez, but I think we see some elements to her that we haven't seen in films in a while, where she's not entirely likable. And I think she's one thing I think happened to Jennifer Lopez as she was sort of trying to become a global celebrity is that she took roles where she was likable, and that was very important to her, because you have to be relatable and likable so audiences will go to see your movie. But here, she is likable, but she's also a criminal. She's very careless with the amount of drugs she administers to these men, and she could kill some of them, but she doesn't care because she gets very greedy, I would say.
So she's sort of falling prey to what she feels the men are guilty of being greedy and not understanding that their money,
Yes, it's kind of an ironic twist in the film that they're sort of taking revenge on these greedy Wall Street brokers, but then they really become as greedy as the men. But it all crashes down because the ring is raided by the FBI, and I won't say what happens.
Damn it, the feds.
Yeah,
Stopping criminals.
yeah. But she's also a relatable character. She has a child in the film, and she's actually doing this. She's a stripper, and then later a criminal because she's trying to provide for her daughter.
Right.
Kind of doing what she needs to do, and the Constance Wu character sort of learns that, like, I'm going to do this as well because I have a child, and and it's a really great, it's a really entertaining movie. Cardi B is in it, Lizzo, as strippers in this club.
I got to see this. I just ran out of time.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I'm looking
Usher
forward to it.
is in it. It's pretty great because it's
Usher.
in 2008. It's sort of like Boogie Nights, where it's over the course of a decade, and you see the highs and lows of this industry. And they say that the highest moment that we had was when Usher came to the club.
Sorry.
We had this bacchanal of strippers and Usher, and everyone's dancing in slow motion. There's money floating through the air, and they're popping Cristal on each other.
The montage, nice.
Yes, yes. But it is sort of like a Scorsese film in a way. It's sort of like Goodfellas with strippers. It's been referred to as.
Interesting.
So it's very entertaining, but it's also got a great subtext about women and power and how women bond and how they can use their bodies. And
if we would just get together and use our
just get
power
together.
for good.
For good. But I think and I can see why the Academy will love this role for sure, because it gives her a lot of range.
Interesting.
Yes.
We'll see. I feel like the Golden Globes are ready for that, but I'm not sure about the Academy.
Heather, I think you're losing $10.
I might lose $10, but
I'm telling you right now,
I feel like they're just, well, maybe it's because she is such a star that they're ready for it.
Yeah.
But they would not be if it was a different Latina in this role, I think. Maybe they are ready. I'm not convinced yet, but maybe I can see kind of why you're saying they are, but I still think that Academy is Well, I will. They have added a lot of people to the Academy of people of color and
More
women,
diverse, yes.
and so it is definitely a more diverse Academy, even within the last year. So maybe I can see, but I don't know.
She's made Hollywood a lot of money.
Oh, sure,
And
for
that
sure.
that almost always factors into Academy decision making.
For sure.
Correct.
We'll
It's
see
like a
how much
history of
money she
making
spends on
money.
her campaign. Who is backing her
Yes.
campaign is really the question.
But I also feel like she's weirdly, given how successful she is, this is weird to say, but I feel like this is a comeback for her
Maybe. Yeah,
in terms
maybe.
of acting. Because I think a lot of critics latched onto her when she did Selena and Out of Sight as, oh, she's a really
Right.
good actress. And then she started taking roles that maybe didn't stretch her dramatic
Right.
talents,
And
but
now
were
here
successful.
she is. I think, yeah, for sure the last couple of years.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know.
I hope so. I really want her to be in stuff that's as good as she is.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
a fine actor. She's really
sure.
good. But my goodness, second act, I mean that I I couldn't believe how bad that was in times. Enough, which when I'm looking through the Jennifer Lopez catalog of films, people are like, "Well, Enough is almost a good movie." No, it's not.
No,
The Boy Next Door.
it's
Whoosh.
not.
Yeah,
Ooh, no.
Monster-in-Law, I couldn't make it through Monster-in-Law. That movie's so
Yeah.
disjointed, and that's one of the only ones where I felt like she didn't give everything. I think everybody involved in that knew
What it was.
what it was and that it wasn't good. They tried to fix it, I think, with the editing. It did not work. It's really bad, and it's just so disjointed, and that's one of her few bad roles where she doesn't bring much to it. But I don't know what you could have brought to that, honestly. It's a bad pairing. The couple, I forget who the guy is.
Yeah,
But he's
she
really
doesn't-
weird looking.
She doesn't do
There's
well.
no chemistry.
Michael Vartan,
Yeah,
king of
It's
mid-90s
not good.
romantic comedies.
Yeah, it's
Not good.
he had his shot and
did.
yuck. So he just was not a leading man. Anyways, but she does well when her co-star is worthy. And I think like George Clooney, even Mark Anthony was pretty good, and El Cantante is okay. Is an okay movie. But she did really well with. I think Chris Pena plays Selena's husband. Is it Chris Pena?
Chris Pena.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's great.
Yeah.
I think he's a great actor. I think they work well together. I mean, she should, hopefully, this is her chance to get roles that she really wants and will really shine. And I think maybe give her some Latino actors to act with, some people of color, some meaty, good scripts where she doesn't have to always be the nice person, because I bet she can play an excellent villain.
Well, this is interesting because her next project after Hustlers. So in Hustlers, I think she wisely took a supporting role, even though she kind of owns the film, even though Constance Wu is the star. I think Jennifer Lopez really sort of takes over this film. And that's an easy way to get into like the critics' good graces, because the next project she's working on is supposedly a female godfather, where she's playing
Ooh,
the godmother. I don't know what it is.
All right, I'm interested.
But I
already.
think she's going to take the lead role as a criminal,
Okay.
I
like it. I like what I hear. We'll see. Let's hope that she keeps going and that people, I just wish that maybe they do. Maybe the executive producers see her value. And of course, if we're basing her value on box office, I don't know. I feel sort of badly about that. But that's true. Power is money in
That's
Hollywood.
correct. Yes.
You want to get a script made and you're good at the box office, you should be able. I hope she sees her own value and that she can start dictating with Hustlers and all of that. Like she can start dictating the projects more and what she wants and what she wants to represent,
And choosing better if that's what's
Yes.
been going on.
Right.
Because I don't know. I think she was really trying to play it safe, honestly, and that's why she was doing all these romantic comedies. I think she was thinking of herself as a brand, and so she wanted to play these kind of safe roles, that were going to make money, that weren't too artsy, that were going to keep her in her fans' eyes, right? And without taking too many chances. Hustlers, at least it sounds like she's taking some chances, and she's a good actor. She's a really great dancer. I mean, that her dance numbers in the film make people gasp doesn't really surprise me. She's a great dancer.
Yes.
There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
But knowing how Hollywood works, she had to be a producer on Hustlers, I think, to get her this role in the film. We don't know what kind of role she was being offered. I feel like
That's true.
I feel like Hollywood is not always real forward-thinking and progressive in terms of, she can do a lot of different things. Like she made a lot of money and Made in Manhattan, so let's just make her do more movies like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is what she's offered. So I think this is a great example of an actress having to sort of take control of her career as a producer, because I think that's very important to sort of make your own projects.
I hope she can, and I think she should have the power to do that.
Yeah.
When she's produced a lot of TV stuff,
Yeah.
a lot of
She has, yeah.
the TV stuff she's the producer on. So
And this is a moment where a lot of, like Reese Witherspoon, a lot of actresses, and Nicole Kidman, they're all
able to. I mean, a lot of white actresses are able
a
to
lot of
take
white
their power
actresses.
back.
Yes.
So let's hope that
Yeah.
women of color, Black women, Latina women are able to kind of claim their roles the way they should.
and the way that she's doing it at the age of 50, I think is just great, right? I mean, that's really cool. We should see more of that, of these strong female actors getting great roles in their 50s and 60s.
Well, and she's a sexy woman. She doesn't have to play like, sure, like you're gonna stick a 50-year-old woman as the grandma or the aunt or something. Like, give her a juicy role. It doesn't matter if she doesn't have to look like J-Lo, Jennifer
Right,
Lopez, but
right.
it's just a whole. I hope that we're going in the right direction, not just with Jennifer Lopez, but in
Yes.
general with
Yeah.
age and women and all of that
both in
stuff.
terms of gender and ethnicity, but also in terms of age.
Mm-hmm.
50s, back in the 80s, that was the age of the Golden Girls.
Yep.
Those
People
women
don't-
were in their
yeah,
50s.
People
and
have a hard time realizing that.
I can't see B. Arthur on a stripper pole. I mean,
think I
I've
could see-
thought about it.
I think Betty White.
I've
could
thought
have
about, yeah,
done
I think
it,
Betty White
but,
could do it. But I think definitions of age have certainly
Right.
changed
Oh,
over the last 30
yes,
years. And
dramatically.
yeah.
So let's keep going. You know.
So this is going to be a good decade for Jennifer Lopez, I think, coming
Hope
up.
so.
She's going to take that Oscar. She's going to get all the good roles. She's going to keep
We got
recording.
$10 on this. so
$10. I can't
I'm
wait for that
still not
$10.
Sold yet.
I'll take it in 2 5s, please.
I'm such a big spender.
Well, that's great. So Jennifer Lopez, yes, let's all watch the Oscars in February and see what happens. And yeah, I think
And
it's
go
gonna be
watch
good.
Hustlers and See Out of Sight for sure if you have not
See
seen it.
Out of Sight.
And for God's sakes, if you haven't seen Selena, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of hope for you, but you should see Selena if you haven't already seen it.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, and Hustlers is, I think, just now starting to stream.
Yeah, it'll be. I was cheap and didn't buy it, but it'll be for rent like in the next week or so.
Yes. Okay. Do it. Okay.
Do it.
So that was great. So yes, we're all on the Jennifer Lopez
Yes.
train, the money train. To circle it back.
Oh, I'm horrible.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So thanks, Rusty and Heather. That was good.
Good
Thanks,
times.
Jeff.
Yes. So that brings me to the end of this podcast, brings me to rule number 300 of the Many Rules of Film Club, which is if a film is so nice, you really should make it twice, or perhaps 3, 4, 5, or 6, or 7, or 8 times. Because the next time on the Many Rules of Film Club, we're going to be talking about remakes, and not just remakes, but remakes that have been remade at least 3 times or more. And there are a lot, and we're going to talk about why. In the meantime, please check us out everywhere that you can check us out on our YouTube channel, Many Rules of Film Club, on Facebook, on our website, themanyrulesofilmclub.com, on iTunes, any place else.
Stitcher.
Stitcher, yes. And please give us your feedback.
Yeah, we'll take any feedback you got. Might not listen to it, but we'll take it. I'm interested. I wish we had some more feedback, so I welcome it.
Once I have my $10, I won't care what anyone's feedback is. I'm going to be making my own way.
Fine.
Me and Jennifer Lopez, we got all the money. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Many Rules of Film Club.